Continue the chapter reading on the report on the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence and U.S. House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, Part 4, which is called the 28 pages. I think it's important enough to read this stuff. The part I'm going to read is the possible Saudi government connections to terrorists and terrorist groups. And here we go, right? This is going to be the reading of certain individuals that were suspected by the FBI to be connected with the Saudi government and the 9/11 hijackers. In reviewing FBI documents and the CIA memorandum, the Joint Inquiry Staff has examined information suggesting that one individual who provided assistance to Nawaf al-Hazmi and Khalid al-Minar may be connected to the Saudi government. A second individual may have been in contact with Nawaf al-Hazmi and Khalid al-Minar, also has ties to the Saudi government, including connections to the Saudi ambassador to the United States. There is reporting in FBI files that persons have alleged that both of these individuals may be Saudi intelligence officers. The September 11 hijackers may have been in contact with other Saudi government officials in the United States prior to September 11 attacks, and Saudi government officials in the United States may have ties to Osama bin Laden's terrorist network. The two individuals that they're referring to is Omar al-Bayoumi and Osama Basnan. Two individuals known to the FBI prior to September 11, 2001, Omar al-Bayoumi and Osama Basnan, may have provided assistance of support to Nawaf al-Hazmi, Khalid al-Minar, while the two hijackers to be were living in San Diego. While the documentary evidence that Omar al-Bayoumi provided assistance to al-Hazmi and al-Minar is so, the files contained only limited evidence that Osama Basnan had contacts with the two individuals. When al-Hazmi and al-Minar moved to San Diego, al-Bayoumi provided them with considerable assistance before the hijackers moved in with their long-term FBI informant. Now, what they're referring to here is that the FBI San Diego field office had an informant in an area called Lemon Grove, California. And that was, when Khalid al-Minar and Nawaf al-Hazmi moved to San Diego, they went to the Parkwood Apartments where Omar al-Bayoumi provided them with the month's rent and security deposit. And from there, after they lived there for a couple of months, they moved in with into a room house, a house that was owned by this informant named Abdul Sadr Sheikh, who allegedly worked at the San Diego State's faculty, but he found out that he didn't. He lied to the FBI about that. Anyway, nevertheless, he was an informant since I think, 1980s for the FBI, reporting on, people connected to Hezbollah or Hamas, right? So they considered him a top-level informant and a long connection. Stephen Butler was his handler, and he was one of the special agents in charge of this operation. So that's what they talk about, the long-time FBI informant. They stayed at al-Bayoumi's apartment for several days until al-Bayoumi was able to find him an apartment. Al-Bayoumi then co-signed their lease and may have paid their first month's rent and security deposit. Now, from what we know through the Operation Encore files, was that that's true. But I think he paid for the first 3 months' rent and the security deposit. After al-Hazmi and al-Minar moved into their own apartment, al-Bayoumi threw a party, a party to welcome them in the San Diego community. By the way, also through the Operation Encore files, this was videotaped. Al-Bayoumi had a habit of walking around the neighborhood with a video camera. This is the 1990s, before it was cool with a phone. They had a video camera. And a lot of people suspect him of being suspicious. Later on, Khalid al-Minar, who moved in with Abdul Sadr Sheikh in the room in Lemon Grove, he went on to tell him that he suspected Omar al-Bayoumi as a spy for the Saudi government. Even the hijackers are saying, hey, this guy's a suspicious motherfucker. He also tasked Modar Abdullah, another individual from the Islamic Center of San Diego, to help them get acclimated to the United States. Abdullah served as the translator, helped them get driver's licenses, and assisted them in locating flight schools. A lot of people don't realize this, or don't know, that Khalid al-Minar and Nawaf al-Hazmi were chosen by Osama bin Laden, allegedly chosen by bin Laden to be pilots. But they had to learn English. And they didn't go to English classes. According to Abdul Sadr Sheikh, they never went anywhere, really. And they went out at night. Cars used to pick them up, go to parties, whatnot. But they never went to English classes. And later on, they were replaced by Hani Hanjour, who came later. They fucked that part up. They were supposed to be the hijackers for Flight 77. During the post-September 11 investigation, the FBI discovered that Omar al-Bayoumi had far more extensive ties to the Saudi government than previously realized. In fact, according to the October 14, 2002 FBI document, Omar al-Bayoumi has extensive ties to the Saudi government. Connections identified by the FBI are: al-Bayoumi had been an accountant at the Saudi Civil Aviation Administration from 1976 to 1993, where he relocated to the United States. Saudi Arabian Air Presidency. According to the FBI, al-Bayoumi was a frequent contact with the emir at the Saudi Ministry of Defense, responsible for air traffic control in the country. What a coincidence. Here's a guy, Omar al-Bayoumi, who handled 3 of the hijackers for 9/11. Khalid al-Mihdhar, Nawaf al-Hazmi, and Hani Hanjour, according to the FBI. You know, I'm not reading these reports like the 9/11 Commission report or the Joint House inquiry because I want to spread the official narrative, that the 9/11 truth movement loves to label. I'm doing it because they told you not to read these. And how can you discern truth from lies or mistruths or misinformation? By running it through the scientific method that I talk about all the time. You form a hypothesis. You test that hypothesis through a series of tests, documentary evidence, technical, analytical, eyewitness, physical, right? And then you test it to see if it lines up with, the theory that you have. And if it does, well, then now you know it's a fact. Has Richard Gage ever told you that? Has, Jason Bermas ever told you that? Or Alex Jones? No. They told you the government bad, don't read nothing, right? Don't read nothing. The whole report is false. Well, it's not. 9/11 Commission report is not all false. Neither is the Joint House inquiry. There's more missing. So instead of it's a false report, it's an incomplete one. They didn't tell the whole story. Now, some parts, are misinformation because the 9/11 Commission wasn't able to look at everything because a lot of things were classified. And the CIA, and don't worry about the Israelis and Saudis. I mean, the FBI and State Department covered for them, and they were all deported. So we don't know what they had, or if they had anything at all. But I'm sure they did, and we don't have that either. And there's other operations like Able Danger, the Defense Intelligence Agency covert operation, metadating mining program. That wasn't mentioned in the 9/11 Commission report. Neither was the Gerald Shea Memorandum, which talked about the Israelis that were inside the country. So it's an incomplete report. And I'm only doing this so I can inform the public. That's how you build a movement. You inform the public where they can act on tangible information. That's it. That's why I'm doing these. Because the truth movement was supposed to do this, but they never did. According to the FBI, al-Bayoumi was a frequent contact with the emir at the Saudi Ministry of Defense, responsible for air traffic control. The FBI also located records indicating al-Bayoumi received $20,000 from the Saudi Ministry of Finance at one point. So they're showing you connections. Hey, this guy's not going to have a sign or a document stating, I am a Saudi government official. Because you don't want that tie. You want things to be compartmentalized for an operation this big. That's why you don't have the president of the United States like George Bush knowing too much about specifics. You want that guy to be in front of a camera knowing specifics about 9/11? He's on a need-to-know basis. And he's the most powerful man in the United States. Most powerful man. Okay? For those blaming Bush or Cheney, those guys are out in the field. They don't want to know too much because even they don't trust themselves. As shrewd as a political acolyte like Dick Cheney is, even he doesn't trust himself. I don't want to know. I just know something big might happen, but I don't want to know specifics. Can you blame him? When al-Bayoumi applied to schools in the United States in 1998, he had a letter from the Saudi embassy which stated that he was getting a full scholarship from the government of Saudi Arabia. So there is documentation from the government. While in San Diego, al-Bayoumi was receiving money from the Saudi Ministry of Defense to a Saudi company called NCAN. Now, this NCAN is a subsidiary of the Ghost company that Operation Encore and the Pent Bomb investigation, as well as the Counter-Strel document, all mentioned Dalla Avco. Dalla and Avco. NCAN is a subsidiary of these groups. And Omar al-Bayoumi was a Ghost employee, meaning that here's a guy who was getting a monthly stipend, financial stipend, but was barely ever seen the job, like the mafia. That's why they call it a Ghost employee. NCAN of their company informed that the FBI after September of 2001 that although al-Bayoumi only showed up at company on one occasion, he received a monthly salary and was allowed I'm sorry. He received a monthly salary and allowances. Blank stated that at first he attempted to refuse to pay al-Bayoumi a monthly salary. This is mentioned in the Operation Encore files, that this person, whose name was redacted in there too, for, not because he's involved, but because, he's a private citizen, right? That he attempted to refuse to pay al-Bayoumi a monthly salary, but he was told that the company would lose their contract if he did not pay him. Now, somebody much higher than al-Bayoumi from the government was stating to an employee of Dalla Avco, NCAN. Somebody speaking on this guy's behalf informed that at the time he attributed this to the Saudi corruption. al-Bayoumi also frequented contact with Saudi establishments in the United States. In a review of telephone toll records, the FBI learned that al-Bayoumi called Saudi government establishments in the United States almost 100 times between January and May of 2000. According to the FBI, al-Bayoumi was in contact with at least 3 individuals at the Saudi embassy in Washington, D.C., 2 individuals at the Saudi Arabian Cultural Mission in Washington, D.C., and 3 individuals at the Saudi consulate in Los Angeles. In a search of al-Bayoumi's blank, they also discovered that he had the phone number for an individual at the Saudi consulate in London. 2 former San Diego agents addressed the issue of whether Omar al-Bayoumi was an intelligence officer at the October 9, 2002 closed hearing at the Joint Inquiry. Closed hearing meaning that these agents were giving classified information at the time to a meeting that's closed for the public. The public, reporters, nobody could take dictation besides the Joint Inquiry from matters of national security. That's what a closed hearing means. The former case agent who handled Muppet, it says Muppet there. I don't know what that means, but Muppet was a code name for the FBI informant Abdul Sheikh. Now, the agent who handled him was Stephen Butler. And this is him speaking. al-Bayoumi acted like a Saudi intelligence officer, in my opinion. But if he was involved with the hijackers, which it looked like he was, if he signed leases, if he provided some sort of financing or payment of some sort, then I would say there's a clear possibility that he might be a connection between Saudi intelligence and Osama bin Laden. I'll read that again. There's a possibility that might be a connection between Saudi intelligence and Osama bin Laden. Well, fuck yeah. A former assistant special agent in charge of San Diego testified that the FBI received numerous, I would say half a dozen reports from individuals who believed that Omar al-Bayoumi was a Saudi intelligence officer. These were people that were interviewed in Lemon Grove, California, and people that lived in Parkwood Apartments at the neighborhood I can't name, I forgot. Calverton. No, I think I'm wrong. That's in Florida, I believe. I forgot to forgive me. I'm getting older. I'm forgetting. But the 2 neighborhoods, the FBI went and interviewed the neighbors that lived near Omar al-Bayoumi and said that this guy's walking around with a camera. He never works. He has a lot of money. He knows everybody. Yeah, this guy's an agent. The FBI's November 18th response is inconsistent as to whether the FBI currently is designating Omar al-Bayoumi as a suspected Saudi intelligence officer. It is in response. The FBI notes that al-Bayoumi redaction until after September 11th, but the response also rules out that there was no evidence to conclude that al-Bayoumi was a Saudi intelligence officer. This is, by the way, Can't blame the Joint Inquiry, can't blame the FBI because they're getting the orders from who? The State Department. State Department is covering for who? Saudi government. They're still doing it to this day. They have documents. They have classified files. They're not even giving it to the law firms like Creedler and Creedler or Motley Rice, who are representing the victims of the World Trade Center and Pentagon and Shanksville, who are suing the Saudi government for being involved with the financing and logistical support to some of the 9/11 hijackers named here. In other words, the U.S. government is covering up for Saudi Arabia, not just Israel, but Saudi Arabia as well. Why? Because the U.S. government doesn't give a shit about you. I mean, really, do you need a hammer to the head? The FBI also received reporting from a reliable source well prior to September of 2001, indicating that Omar al-Bayoumi might be a Saudi intelligence officer. Al-Bayoumi was known to have access to large amounts of money from Saudi Arabia, despite the fact he did not have a job. On one occasion prior to September 11th, the FBI received information that al-Bayoumi received $400,000 from Saudi Arabia to help fund a new mosque in San Diego. The FBI conducted a counterterrorism investigation into al-Bayoumi in 1998, 1999, but closed the investigation at that point. Under orders from who? Louis Freeh, the director? Or from the regional supervisor in San Diego? Why? Now, what's interesting is that in the counter-share document, the CIA even had an open file on Omar al-Bayoumi dating back to the early 1990s. What? Why? Why would the CIA, who doesn't do any domestic intelligence, to prosecute, because they're not a judicial arm of the government, they're overseas, right? Why do they have an open file on Omar al-Bayoumi? Did that start while he was in San Diego, while he was in Saudi Arabia in the 1990s? But he was inside the United States. That can't make sense. How do they have an open file on Omar al-Bayoumi while living in the United States in the early 1990s? Why? These are questions you'd like answered. Since September 11, 2001, FBI investigation revealed that Omar al-Bayoumi has ties to terrorist elements, in which he told the FBI, Omar al-Bayoumi, in the memorandum for the record for the 9/11 Commission, he told them too, I never had anti-Western sentiments. Pasquale Diamuro, the legendary executive assistant director for counterterrorism and counterintelligence, testified in the October 9, 2002 closed-door hearing that we've been talking with the Saudi government about collection on an individual named Omar al-Bayoumi, who has ties to Al-Qaeda, who has ties to Al-Qaeda, who has ties to Omar al-Bayoumi. In addition, the FBI reported the results of the search of al-Bayoumi's blank, that after an exhaustive translation of Bayoumi's documents, it is clear that in Bayoumi's correspondence, he is providing guidance to young Muslims, and some of his writings can be interpreted as jihadist. According to information required by the FBI after September of 2001, al-Bayoumi also noted that on one of his school applications that he worked for a company called Dalla Avco. This is the ghost employee for Dalla Avco. According to the FBI, NCAN is a San Diego subcontractor, Dalla Avco. According to a separate blank document, Dalla and Avco are under the same umbrella company, Avco Dalla, or Dalla Avco Trans-Arab, which is a subsidiary of Al Barak Investment and Development Company. Avco Dalla reportedly holds the contracts of cleaning and maintenance at the 3 major airports in Saudi Arabia. More connections to the airline industry. The blank documents notes that the document has links to Osama bin Laden. That's also reported in the Operation Encore files. Dalla Avco has connections to Omar al-Bayoumi. Dalla Avco has connections to Osama bin Laden. This is where the FBI got their information from. And the State Department is saying there's no evidence to show that Omar al-Bayoumi is a Saudi intelligence officer or connections to terrorism. I'm not a coincidence theorist, folks. I'm sorry, right? According to FBI documents, al-Bayoumi's pay increased during the time that al-Hazmi and al-Midor were in the United States. Of course they were. That's mentioned in the Operation Encore files as well. According to a recent blank analysis of his ties between the terrorist attacks and elements of the Saudi government, before al-Hazmi and al-Midor arrived in the United States, al-Bayoumi generally received approximately $465 per month in allowances. According to the blank document, in March of 2000, A month after Hazmi al-Midar arrived in San Diego, his alliances jumped to $3,700 of rent a month and stayed constant until December of 2000 when al-Hazmi left San Diego. Why? Because he was giving that money to them and also to himself. He was helping them pay rent, helping them get allowances, move around. He wasn't the only one. Al-Bayomi's allowances were then decreased to approximately $3,200 a month and stayed at that rate until Al-Bayomi left the United States in August of 2001. Of course, he needed money to get, scram. A month before 9/11, he leaves. Approximately 1 month before his 7/11 attacks. The blank memorandum dated July 2nd, 2002. Concurrently noted, Al-Bayomi's wife, while living in San Diego, Haifa and Faisal, was receiving $1,200 a month from Princess Haifa bin Sultan, the wife of Prince Bandar, the Saudi ambassador to the United States, the same guy who was named Bandar Bush because he was so close to the Bush family, because he served as the U.S. ambassador to Bush Sr., Clinton, Reagan, even. So Reagan, Bush Sr., Clinton, and Bush Jr. 4 administrations, but he was closest to the Bush family. The FBI has now confirmed that only Osama bin Laden's wife, Mawida Dawijak, that's Osama bin Laden's wife, received money directly from Prince Bandar's wife, but that al-Bayomi's wife attempted to deposit 3 of the checks for Prince Bandar's wife. By the way, it's also noted that Mawida Dawijak gave that money to Osama bin Laden. Bin Laden gave that money to Khalid al-Midar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. I'll repeat this. The money coming from Princess Haifa's account, which is from a bank called Riggs Bank, which account is held by Prince Bandar, was given the money to his wife. His wife was giving it to the wife of Osama bin Laden, Mawida Dawijak. Mawida Dawijak then gave that money to Osama bin Laden. Bin Laden gave that money to Khalid al-Midar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. That's through the Pent Bomb investigation, the FBI Pent Bomb investigation, and the FBI Operation Encore investigation. The joint inquiry also found in FBI files information suggesting that Osama bin Laden may have been in contact with Khalid al-Midar and Nawaf al-Hazmi, including bin Laden was a very close associate of Omar al-Bayomi and was in telephone contact with al-Bayomi several times a day while they were both in San Diego. Bin Laden also has close ties to a number of other individuals connected to the hijackers, including Omar Bakhshabat, discussed below, who is also referred to in the FBI documents as bin Laden's brother-in-law. According to an October in 2001 FBI document, bin Laden confirmed to an asset, a confidential informant, that he had met Nawaf al-Hazmi through al-Bayomi. He went on to say that he met 2 of the 19 hijackers through Omar al-Bayomi. According to the FBI document, he also told the asset that al-Bayomi was arrested because he knew al-Hazmi al-Midar very well. The document also goes on to state that bin Laden told al-Bayomi that they were very close to each other for a very long time, even though Omar al-Bayomi told investigators in the United Kingdom that he didn't know Osama bin Laden. So he lied about that too. He lied about that to the 9/11 Commission and the FBI as well. Bin Laden lived in the apartment complex in San Diego across the street from al-Hazmi al-Midar. Bin Laden made a comment to an FBI source that the September 11th attack suggested that he did more for the hijackers than Omar al-Bayomi did. This is coming from that confidential source from the Operation Encore files that audio recorded him saying this. The FBI is aware of the contact between the hijackers and a close friend of bin Laden's, Khalid El-Kayed, a commercial airline pilot and certified flight instructor living in San Diego. El-Kayed admitted to the FBI that on May of 2000, al-Midar and al-Hazmi contacted him by learning to fly a Boeing jet aircraft. Like I said before, they were selected, quote unquote, selected by bin Laden, allegedly, to be pilots for Flight 77. But because they didn't learn English, got to learn English to, go to these schools, because they were too lazy, they were replaced later on by Hani Hanjour. I mean, even the Saudis are admitting this, that these guys were going to hijack planes. They wanted to learn how to fly. It's not like these guys, tried their best to remain secret. Khalid al-Midar worked at a gas station called Sam Startmark, owned by Sam Mustafa, who was a jihadist himself and used to scream that um, America should be attacked by this extremist by Osama bin Laden, who he worshipped, by the way. He told Nawaf al-Hazmi told people at the Start Mart, I'm sorry, Khalid al-Midar, when he came back from Yemen in 2001, he told people at the Start Mart, oh, yeah, we're going to be, I'm sorry, before he went to Yemen, that I'm going to be, something big is going to happen next year. Be on the lookout for something big involving planes. This is coming from the individuals who worked at Sam Startmart and gave their testimonies to the FBI. Now listen, to you fringe no planers. If that was the case, why would the FBI simply not interview these people and not make it a public record? Because we have these people on record saying, yeah, that's exactly what they were saying. FBI documents speculate that Osama bin Laden redaction, the FBI's November 18, 2002 response, contends that the FBI was an early investigative theory based on asset reporting, which the FBI has not been able to corroborate. Now, look, okay. You don't make somebody an asset, a confidential informant, based on information that you can't corroborate. It wouldn't be much of an asset or a confidential informant. Would you agree? This is the State Department telling the FBI, do not investigate further ties from Saudi government officials to Osama bin Laden to the 9/11 hijackers. Don't do it. Because the federal government doesn't give a shit about you. That's why. However, there's also additional information possibly tying Basnan to blank. In 1992, while he was living in Washington, D.C., Basnan listed his employment as the Saudi Arabian Education Mission. FBI documents state that, long redaction, Basnan also has other ties to the Saudi government. Bastan's wife received a monthly stipend from Princess Haifa. In recent search of Basnan's residence, the FBI located copies of 31 cashier's checks totaling $74,000 during the period of February 22nd, 1999 to May 30th, 2002. These checks were payable to Basnan's wife and were drawn on Riggs' bank account of Prince Bandar's wife. The FBI also determined there had been a standing order on Princess Haifa's account since January of 1999 to send $2,000 a month to Basnan's wife. Basnan's wife was allegedly receiving the funds for nursing services, but according to the blank document, there was no evidence that Basnan's wife provided nursing services. Redaction. Wow, look at that. On at least one occasion, Basnan received a check directly from Prince Bandar's account. According to the FBI, on May 14, 1998, Basnan cashed a check from Prince Bandar in the amount of $15,000. Basnan's wife also received at least one check directly from Bandar. She also received one additional check from Bandar's wife, which she cashed on January 6, 1998 for $10,000. In the October 9, 2002 hearing, FBI Executive Assistant Director Pat Diamuro commented on this financing. I believe that we do have money going from Prince Bandar's wife, $2,000 a month, up to about $64,000. What the money was for is what we don't know. Blank testified, blank. She gives money to a lot of different groups and people from around the world. We've been able to uncover a number of these, but maybe if we could discover that she gave to 20 different radical groups, well, gee, maybe there's a pattern here. You think? The FBI also developed additional information clearly indicating that Basnan is an extremist and supporter of Osama bin Laden. For example, in 1993, the FBI became aware that Basnan had hosted a party for the blind sheikh, Omar Abdel Rahman, who was given a life sentence for his role in the Landmarks plot, who had connections to the 1993 World Trade Center bomber Ramzi Youssef while they were at the Al Masjid Mosque in Brooklyn in Atlantic Avenue. He's hosting a party for this guy. Basnan has made many laudatory remarks to FBI assets about bin Laden, referring to bin Laden as the official caliphate and the ruler of the Islamic world. According to the FBI asset, Basnan spoke of bin Laden as if he were a god. Basnan also stated to an FBI asset that he heard that the U.S. government had stopped approving visas for foreign students. He considered such measures to be insufficient, as there are already enough Muslims in the United States to destroy the United States and make it an Islamic state within 10 to 15 years. According to FBI documents, Basnan also knew bin Laden's family in Saudi Arabia. Wow. And spoke on his mobile telephone with members of the family who were living in the United States. They were living in Massachusetts at the time. So here we have another Saudi operative assisting some of the hijackers who has connections not just to the Saudi government, but also to the U.S. ambassador and Osama bin Laden and Omar Abdul Rahman. Holy shit. All right. That's the end of this chapter, the 28 pages. Hey, look, we got a lot from there. And look, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video.